honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. It's a challenging time to be a black leader in America. Recently, my colleagues at Bloomberg Business Week brought together a group of prominent black executives to talk about how they're navigating the White House, rollbacks to DEI initiatives, and the current mood in America surrounding race. Chris Williams is chairman at Siebert Williams Shank & Company. He said tribalism and political division is playing into how diversity is being perceived.
There are mindsets that are pro and con DEI that are becoming more entrenched, one side or the other, because aside from race, on every aspect of American life, the differences, the gulf between one viewpoint and another viewpoint is more entrenched and clear.
Williams says the U.S. is philosophically divided on a number of issues. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
At Liberty Mutual, we love helping people with things like customizing car insurance, just like how we customize a song for you. Catered country tune. Liberty Mutual, saving you bucks by protecting your truck. 'Cause 30 told me to only pay for what I need. Thank you, Limu. Always trust in Limu with Liberty, 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 Liberty.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk
on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
and 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee, a Milwaukee Black media company.
He steps to the mic with a boom ping ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom ping ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom ping ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
welcome to the program. Today is Monday, June 29th, 2026. If you are in the Milwaukee area or if you live in, let's say, the lower half or lower third of the state of Wisconsin, it's going to be hot for the next couple of days. That concludes the weather forecast portion of my program. Now let's get on to other news and very significant events that I want you to be made aware of. First and foremost, thank you all for being here. I certainly appreciate that. We are right in the middle of some pretty significant happenings in the United States, and some of them are below the surface. Pretty soon they will be news, and they will change the way in which we do things, and I want to shed light on a bunch of those things that are happening at once, including a couple of Supreme Court decisions that are slated to be released sometime this morning. They may be breaking news while I am doing this program, and I will do my level best to bring you that information as it becomes available. And it's everything from trans rights to mail-in voting to the extension of executive and presidential powers, particularly Donald Trump. The decisions that will be rendered today, there's a total of 8 decisions we are going to get. Some are considerably more impactful and influential than others. Each and every one of them is just a glimmer and a glimpse of how this current era in American politics is unlike anything we have ever seen. A particular case, and I'm going to go into more detail later because I want to make sure that we have this thing right, especially ahead of our gubernatorial primary that we have here in Wisconsin. That election is on August 11th. Those of you that are on the permanent mail ballot list, you have received your ballots already, and I would urge you to return those ballots as soon as possible because one of the Supreme Court cases is making it clear, so we have some ambiguity because it varies from state to state. I first need to make it abundantly clear that states administer elections. The federal government has nothing to do with that. This is something that the states are charged with. It is enumerated in the Constitution, and it has been well respected and documented and settled fact and law for probably, 200 years. However, when you let states administer their own elections, for some reason, the blue states seem to cheat and the red states don't. So there's a ruling, and this came out of Mississippi, and it had reached the Supreme Court level, and they're going to be rendering their decision. There are some states that allow mail-in ballots to be received as many as 5 days after the election. We know the mail can be slow. It is slow. And so technically, if your ballot is postmarked by Election Day in most jurisdictions, no matter when that ballot comes, as long as you have your ballot postmarked at the post office, it's stamped and sealed by the Election Day, your vote is going to count. Now, here's why this is incredibly important and why this ruling is going to be so damn consequential. You know, there are people that are overseas. People are in the wars and the fighting, shooting at people somewhere over, not just in Iran, but we have theaters of war all over the world. Those are American citizens. Well, most of them, I'm assuming. They should be able to participate in elections. And maybe some of you think the military shouldn't be participating in elections. You would think the Republicans and conservatives and Trumpers would want their beloved freedom fighters to be able to vote in an election. I'll even go one step further. The reason why we have mail-in voting in the first place is because soldiers in the Civil War needed to have the right to vote extended to them, even though they were at Appomattox and they were at Gettysburg and they were at places like Camp Randall. If you guys didn't know, the name of the UW-Madison football stadium was a well-known and established Union fort. Problem I have with Camp Randall is they buried Confederate soldiers at Camp Randall, which don't do that because you don't want to bury the Nazis and the Jews in the same cemetery, but whatever. However, I digress. But the reason why we have mail-in voting is so that people who are overseas, American expatriates that still maintain their American citizenship, are able to cast ballots. If you are in Kuwait and you want to vote in the Wisconsin gubernatorial primary, which I would encourage you to do if you're a Wisconsin resident and you're over in Kuwait, your ballot may not get here in 5 days. What the Trump administration is positing is that your vote should not count because it did not come in 5 days. That is insane to me, and the U.S. Supreme Court is set to decide on whether mail-in ballots, if they come as many as 5 days. And so here's the thing. Some of them ballots are not going to come for 2 and 3 weeks. Some may not get delivered at all, and we just got to chalk that up to the system. Not every single vote is going to be counted. But to at least give that 5-day grace period, I think, is reasonable. Xavier said the ruling is in.
They upheld it.
Upheld it, meaning they are allowing or they are not allowing the 5-day grace period for ballots to be counted.
They're allowing it. It says ballots received after Election Day will count.
There you go. All right. That's 1 down, 7 more to go. So, all right. Guess we're done with that story. There are other things that are happening. And it's happening all at once. And I don't know if – I'm not sure what people pay attention to nowadays. I guess it depends on where you are. What your interest levels are, but to make sure that we are keeping our fingers on the pulse of some of the major and systemic, and I'm going to call them seismic changes coming out of the Trump administration that will at some point in time have an effect on all of us. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of an early break because I got to come back with a fresh segment because I want to give some examples of, as of right now, midway through 2026. I have identified a number of professions, jobs, vocations, employment opportunities, and maybe these are some that you are in right now. Maybe these are professions that will sound familiar to you because you used to work in that job or in that field and you have been replaced maybe. These are dying professions that as of right now, if you're looking for a new job or a new career opportunity, these professions are not worth pursuing. And I'm going to list these to you, but I also want to tell you about this, probably one of the most sinister attacks on education that I have ever seen, let alone been able to articulate. I had to read this stuff several times because I could not believe what they are doing and how they are trying to reduce and eliminate and make as expensive and inconvenient as possible higher education. And the reason why I'm going to give you these 15 dying professions is that no matter who you are, where you are, at some point you're going to have to retool your skills. Now, if you're lucky, you have a job, you have an employer that'll train you. Hey, everybody, we're going to be implementing a new software. Hey, everybody, we're going to add a new division to the company. We want to get y'all trained on these new services that we're going to offer. I know that some of y'all have been here for 10 years or 15 years, but we're going to do a company-wide training so that you guys can update your skills. Some of the training will be in person. Some of the training will be virtual. Talk to your manager about when you're going to participate in the training and make sure you sign up. Consider yourself lucky if you have a job that wants to assist you in updating your skills. Now, there are other jobs where it's going away because the skill set that was required for that job is no longer relevant in today's market. And this forces a lot of people to have to maybe go back to school. Maybe you got to get a certification. Maybe you got to take a couple of online classes to kind of keep up with where technology is moving. What the Trump administration has done to make what I just mentioned nearly impossible for some people is, quite honestly, it's terrifying because one of my interest levels are, and I know that you guys have interest levels that may be all over the place, is what are we doing with education? Because the more you know, the better off you are, the better off our democracy is, and the more you know and the more skills you have, the more training you have, the better off your community is. Because I can show you what happens to a community that is illiterate and uneducated. I can show you that part. That's not good. But then I also, on the flip side, can show you the results and the output that we get when you do have a highly skilled, highly trained, very upwardly mobile community who can make investments and who can participate in making their communities stronger and safer. But what the Trump administration is doing via the U.S. Department of Education should send shockwaves through the system because you know that there was a move going back about 10 years to get rid of the U.S. Department of Education. Trump tried it. He failed. Put Linda McMahon in as his education secretary, and she is doing yeoman's work of trying to destroy the U.S. Department of Education. I'm going to wrap all this stuff up. There are jobs that are going by the wayside. Individuals are going to have to, at some point, not everybody, but enough people are going to have to go back and get like new skills and more training. If you're lucky, your job will offer these skills, updates, and these trainings. If not, you're going to have to go back to school. The Trump administration is making it impossible for you to borrow the money that you are going to need to go to school. And we're going to talk about all of it and how they are using this moment in time when either no one is paying attention or everybody is so supremely distracted by other things to remake America in a way so that the growing populations of minorities, which will in some places already are the majority, are going to suffer well into the future. Like they are punishing the future diversity of what the United States is going to look like, and they're doing it right in front of our faces. But don't worry. Good old Uncle Sherwin is going to explain it all. You're listening to The Truth with Uncle Sherwin on 101.7 The Truth. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling. The limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome back to the program. If you are directed to our YouTube, we have a poll up. I'm very curious as to what you guys think about this. It's kind of controversial, but I don't think so. Let me give you a little context. So first, the question is, should parents be held? Let me get it right. Make sure I get the right verbiage. Should parents be charged when their children commit crimes? 72% of you so far say yes. Usually the early percentages, if there's like a big gap between the yeses and the nos, they kind of maintain throughout the duration of the program. But as the program flows for the next couple of hours, obviously more people will tune in and more people will vote, and it'll be a better representative of the sentiment, not of the general public, because I don't know if the people that listen and participate in this show represent the general public. I'd like to think so, because you all are very smart and surprisingly attractive. But it gives us a benchmark for, you know, what people may think about a particular subject matter, those that listen to and participate in this show. And I look at it in the context of, if I create something and something is my sole responsibility, and that thing that I create is harmful to someone else, it's damaging, I'm held responsible. If I raise my dog and my dog bites the mailman, I'm going to be held responsible. I might be held responsible for medical bills. I might get a citation for not keeping my dog on leash or failure to control my animal. And another consequence is I may actually lose my dog. Not that I want to compare human beings. I'm just giving you examples of, if there's something that an adult is solely responsible for, they did it, they made it, they created it, and they released it or unleashed it on the world, and it was harmful, that person is responsible. If you go to the doctor and the doctor screws up horrendously. Maybe you have a surgery and the surgery is botched and you are disfigured. That doctor is responsible for what they did to you. Sometimes I shock myself when I'm in the kitchen because I'll create some masterpieces. I'm like, I should start a restaurant. Doesn't everybody say that? If you have a meal that you prepare and it's so delicious, it's mostly probably because you have the munchies. But if you just put your foot in a dish, you really just made something yummy. You're like, ooh, I should start a restaurant. And some of you do. And then some of you fail because you realize that the food that you make is only good to you. But if you own a restaurant and your safety standards and your food preparation standards are subpar, and you sell your food and somebody gets sick, you're responsible. I think we've all had food poisoning before. It's horrible. Now, some of us might complain to the restaurants and maybe we file a suit, but isn't that restaurant responsible? They made the food. They produced it. They prepared it. You assumed it was safe or at least wouldn't do any harm, and then you get sick. In all of those cases, we hold a human being responsible for what they created, and if it unleashes harm on the public, we hold them responsible, and there's not even any argument about that, except a child. If your child goes out and commits a horrible crime and they harm someone, or even worse, the parent bears zero responsibility. There's something about this mismatch. Because children sometimes, their whole sense of right and wrong is created in the environments in which some adult is responsible for feeding them, clothing them, and housing them. And if in that environment, there's a level of toxicity to where that child goes out and thinks that wrong is right and that child commits a wrong, why isn't that adult responsible? It's almost like the adult, I don't even know who this child is. I don't know nothing about why they would do something like that. They saw it in the environment that you provided. Now, this is not me searching for a remedy or looking for a policy. I just want to give some juxtaposition that in any other sphere of public life, if a human being is responsible for making something and creating something and it goes awry and it causes harm, we track that responsibility to the original creator, but we do not do that with parents. Let's talk to Kevin, shall we? Kevin, you're on 1017 The Truth. How are you? Apparently, Kevin is not doing very well because he is being very quiet right now. All right, Kevin, I'm just going to let you collect your thoughts. There you go, Kevin. All right, what do we got here? So we did get one Supreme Court ruling already. Let's go over some of the others. 8 cases await the Supreme Court ruling as major opinion day arrives today. And so these opinions are going to shape the foreseeable future in the United States. I have always tried to emphasize the courts, but the courts don't have the same direct influence and impact on democracy like an election of a county supervisor, a county executive, an alderperson, a mayor, a governor, etc. But the courts get to interpret and sometimes reimagine the ordinances and the policies and executive orders that those executives, those governors, those county executives and mayors may put into practice. So courts oftentimes, especially as Black people, I think it's undertaught the impact that the courts have had on really changing and shaping the course and trajectory of African-American progress. You can look at things like Plessy versus Ferguson. You can look at Brown versus Board of Education. It's a number of monumental Supreme Court decisions that from those decisions, a whole bunch of different opportunities opened up. But for some reason, we don't prioritize the courts and judges. On those of us on the left don't prioritize it like the right. The real battle is in the courts. And that is why the right has fought for so long, 50 years actually, very dedicated, I'll give them credit for that, to putting together a U.S. Supreme Court that will overturn Roe versus Wade, which was a really, really tough thing to do. But if you're going to dedicate a lot of your political momentum and energy almost solely into that, because there's some conservative and Republican voters are only voting, like they would vote for Trump. They don't like Trump. They don't like his policies. They don't like he's a womanizer. They don't like that he's a pedophile. But he's going to put their judges on the court. And some of them have been waiting 50 years for that. So to explain why Donald Trump's immoral behavior is overlooked. And they know what Trump is doing. They know how bad of a person he is, but it doesn't matter because he is the useful idiot who accomplishing an agenda that they have been waiting for 50 years. I don't know if the left knows anything about that because 50 years ago, the left was all over the place. The left was just starting to form. The left was black rights and civil rights and union rights and women's rights and gay rights and all of these different factions that briefly will come together in an election, but then they'll go back to their neutral corners all over again. The right was like, yeah, we want to overturn abortion. And the left was like, we need higher wages and better job conditions, and we need education funding, and we need civil rights, and we got to make sure that black people are protected from the police. And the right was like, yeah, we want to overturn abortion. And the left was like, we have income inequality, and then women are not being paid the same amount on the job. And then the right was like, yeah, we want judges. You can see how one agenda that was much more direct and simple, and it took many more years, but a lot of patience, how they were able to accomplish what they set out to accomplish, even if you have to elect somebody like Donald Trump. Let's try Kevin again. Kevin, I hope you got your life together now. I usually don't take calls twice.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Thanks for taking my call. I had it on mute. But is this? I didn't hear the subject of the subject you're on, the full subject you're on. What's the full subject you're on? I got an issue I want to talk about.
Let's bring up your issue because I don't want to have to rehash the whole subject because then I'll be starting the show over again. Let's talk about your issue.
Okay. My issue is this. I don't know. It happened twice at two different gas stations. And when I pumped the gas and turned the gas on, I ain't put no gas in it, but it jumps to 82 cents. And I didn't put no gas in it. So I just want y'all to watch y'all meter when you pump gas to see if it says, whatever money extra.
Okay.
And no gas. Just look out for that because I think it's a few filling stations, this owner that I just had a little argument with, telling me I'm crazy. And this is the second time. I'm 67 years old, but I ain't that crazy. I know what gas feels like coming through the gas hole.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out, people. I love y'all out there, and we're going to still do what we got to do to survive and be safe. If anything, be safe, okay?
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem, sir. You have and plus, you're doing a terrific job, man. I like the way you just do, you just do your conversation. I wish I skip English class. That's why my English is not good. But anyway, I don't want to get personal.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Kevin he admitted it, ain't he? He said, I skipped English. He said, I didn't take no English classes. I did not take no damn English classes, Sherwin. I did. Kevin, you are right in our book, buddy. So those of you that go to the pump and pump your gasolines, I guess watch out for the 82-cent jump, I suppose. And then let's say that happens, so please be vigilant, ladies and gentlemen, and you put your card in. I'm assuming maybe you pay cash. I don't know what you do. Obviously, maybe you take a picture of all of the zeros, 0 gallons, $0, and then you turn the pump on, and then you put the nozzle in your gas hole and see if it jumps, and then take another photograph of the dollar amount, which in Kevin's case it said 82 cents, but I'm assuming 0 gallons of gas had been pumped. So maybe you take a photograph of that. This is not a problem that some of us have because I plug my vehicle into my wall outlet in my garage. I drive a real big cell phone, so I don't have that problem. Let's talk. You said Darnell on line 2. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Hey, Darnell, how are you?
Hello.
What's on your mind?
Good morning, Sherwin. I was just thinking about how.
Good morning. Who? I'm thinking you might have called the wrong show.
Oh, Sherwin, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good morning. But I saw, a lot of stuff going on with people with, comparing their actions to that of Trump's and everything. And I was just kind of like, he's in a position where he's under the spotlight, so his personal affairs is going to really be magnified. So that's no excuse for people to start using that as a reason to become worse people. And I know people are still kind of traumatized from the whole, election scandal to the court cases to even the RNC. It was like I remember back in the day we used to play basketball, and you had a college level recruit named Corey Lucius, and it's like, hey, I was on the same court as Corey, but that doesn't mean I'm nowhere near his talent level. So, like, people are still kind of traumatized from, being at the hottest, or being involved with the hottest topic of the century. It's hard for people to move on with that, too, especially locally.
Yep. Corey Lucius, basketball. I know it. You're right. I agree with you. All right. So are we done?
Have a nice day, Sherwin.
All right. Thank you.
Remember, is it appropriate or is it entertaining? It's the best way to think about things.
You're right.
Days.
That's a good perspective. Is it appropriate or is it entertaining? I like that perspective. What's his name again?
His name is Darnell.
Darnell. Okay. Thank you, Darnell. We appreciate you a lot. Okay. All right, then. Have a nice day, Darnell. So there are 15 professions I'm going to go over that are no longer useful. And if you are in these professions, you might want to think about going back to school and upgrading your skills. If you're lucky, you have a job that will continue to train you on, whatever the job is going to transition to. An example would be many, many years ago, if a woman got hired in an office, let's assume she didn't work in the factory, the production plant, she didn't work on the assembly line, she worked in an office. Many years ago, guess what she was? She was a typist. That's right. But then guess what happened? The typist then gets upgraded because as time goes on, there's more duties, more responsibility. Companies have an obligation to increase their production. And then the typist turned into the secretary. And for about 30 years, a lot of women that were in the workforce, they were, in fact, secretaries. I don't even know if you can use the term secretary anymore. I think it might be offensive. And then what did the secretary turn into? The executive assistant. And every step of the way, there were new skills that had to be learned. I can go back, I don't know, maybe 30 years. And someone was applying for an office job. And they didn't like computers because 30 years ago would have put us in 1996. And somebody could have said, oh, no, I don't use computers. I'm not into computers. And then you may still have been able to get that job because a lot of the world might have still been very analog because computer technology was not universally adopted everywhere in 1996. Now, oh my goodness, it was coming. The internet was coming. But at that point, you're just kind of on the cusp. Now, you can apply for a job and tell them that you don't use computers. In fact, I would do you one better and say, somebody might say, the person you're sitting across from interviewing with, well, we do use some AI here and we have AI clients that we use. And somebody could say, well, no, I don't use AI. And maybe you still could get that job. But at some point in time, you're going to have to update your skills. And I know that people are afraid of this coming technology, but I'm going to give you examples of those who were afraid to embrace new technology and sharpen their skills. Even if it means you have to go back to school, you get left out of the economy. And that is something that has been very constant in America. Jobs get upgraded. You used to be a typist, then you were a secretary, then you became the executive assistant. And by the time you transitioned into executive assistant, you probably retired, and you probably retired with a fairly decent pension. Think of that trajectory in many different other fields. With now we're at this precipice of artificial intelligence and major significant technology that you're gonna have to learn. And I get it. You can resist it. You can not like it. But there were also people that said 30 years ago, they didn't want to have to use Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. They didn't want to use a computer. They're not into computers. And guess what happened to those folks? They got left back. Keep that in mind. When I talk about this ruling coming out of the U.S. Department of Education, that is going to make the retooling of your skills nearly impossible for a lot of people, particularly minorities. We'll talk about that next. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Today marks opinion day at the U.S. Supreme Court, where 8 cases remain pending. 7 of them are considered major cases, making a significant decision, all but guaranteed. One of those actually a couple we have received decisions on. Some are probably not as impactful. Some of this is like minutia in the Trump administration. Can Donald Trump slice and dice and use his executive authority in places where no other president sought to it when it comes to firing people? And can he appoint this person or that person, etc.? 2 election cases are still pending, one of which we did get the results of. The first focuses on whether states can accept mail-in ballots that are postmarked by Election Day but arrive later. So in these cases, because everybody thinks it's election fraud because Donald Trump is an idiot. He's stupid. That's what he is. He's stupid. And some of y'all are stupid too. Somebody need to say it. We used to shame stupid people because you're an embarrassment to the advancement of human civilization. Now you can just be stupid and have a national television show. Got to stop doing that now. Donald Trump thought that when the election return numbers changed after Election Day during the pandemic, they thought that people were cheating. During the pandemic, a lot of states went to mail-in only ballots because they didn't have the necessary resources to conduct an election during the middle of a damn pandemic. You needed additional staff, and of course the lines went slower. Everybody's got to be 6 feet apart. And the real problem was you could only have a certain number of people in a polling location. I want y'all to think about that for a second. During a presidential election, a lot of people are voting. It's the highest voter turnout you'll see in the country. But if you can only allow 4 or 5 people in a voting site, and then everybody in line has got to stand 6 feet apart, it's going to take a lot longer. And then there was people that were using only mail-in ballots, and those arrived later. And so if the numbers change as more ballots were being counted, Donald Trump thought that was cheating. And so he wanted to outlaw mail-in voting. But here's what the real issue is. And they're still talking about cheating in 2020, and we know that there was none. That was the most secure election. And in 2024, it's interesting, when Trump wins, there's no cheating. But when he loses, there is, and people believe that. Let me tell you what this phenomenon is that's going on in the media and why I hate the media sometimes, even though I'm a part of it, and why some of you have turned off the media. So when you have an expert on a panel, and maybe you're watching the CNNs and the MSNBCs or the CBSs or the NBCs, whatever you're watching, Meet the Press, whatever you're watching, and you have someone who's like an academic, a scholar, who's done research, and they're using fact and they're using science, and they have results that you can go and look up, and it's all right there, okay? Imagine that person, real smart. Hi, I'm a professor from the Harvard. I did all of the research, and I did all the smart people stuff, and I did 20 years worth of research, and here's what I found on voting and elections. A real expert, okay? And then on the same panel, put a liar. Yeah, people vote twice, and dead people vote, and Mexicans are coming just to America just to vote, and then they're just staying in America. George Soros gave $1 billion to a bunch of leftists. January 6th was a bunch of Antifa. You know what I'm saying? So you have an expert that's classically trained and educated and did research and is backed by science and data and fact, which means almost nothing to a large number of people in this country, because some people are just so dumb. And because the right has turned anti-intellectual, the right is making people hate education, because the right gets defeated by educated people. So what they are doing is they are attacking the entire system of education. This goes back to Ronald Reagan. If you guys want me to go back that far, don't worry. I got all the information that you need to show the trajectory of how the right has attacked education for one reason and one reason only. Ronald Reagan said the more educated somebody is, the more likely they are to be a Democrat. Let's attack education and have people that are so dumb that we can tell them anything and they'll believe it, because they won't be rooted in science and fact, and they won't know how to do research. Even doing research now is not Googling. Google will lie to you just like anybody else will. I did my research, Sherwin. What did you do? I look at their Google, everything is spelled wrong. Sentence don't even make any damn sense. Google sometimes is like, yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say with that. See, Sherwin, I did my researches. The attacks on education and the anti-intellectualism is now playing out in our society. And if you take the opportunity to be informed, especially away from black people who already have diminished power, economic power, and electoral power, we fall by the wayside and we just end up killing each other. That is a result of these attacks on education. I know people don't draw the direct line because the line is kind of squiggly, but this is precisely what we are getting. And these attacks are going to continue. I'm going to get to this detail of what the U.S. Department of Education did. Oh, they screwed us real good. Like, not only did they screw us, like, if you're a student right now, I'm just over here in disbelief of what they're doing. So you have an expert on a panel. Let me get back to my original point. I got so much to say today. And you have an expert like, yes, I did all of the research and I checked. This is what the expert will say. I looked at, 500 different elections all over the country, and we analyzed the data, and we looked at the registered voters, and we looked at voter turnout, and we did have some errors where it was human error or clerical error, or maybe a poll worker made a mistake, and we accounted for that. And here's what actual voter fraud is. It's something like 39 incidences out of 10 million votes cast, and it's almost all human error. Now, there are a couple of cases in which people have tried to vote fraudulently and vote multiple times. They get caught every single time. It is literally a crime that you are never going to get away with. If you have voted multiple times or in different jurisdictions, you are absolutely going to get caught. Hell, we had fake electors right here in Milwaukee, and guess what? They were charged with felonies. It is a crime that is easy to find evidence and to prosecute, and it's also a stupid crime to commit. Because what will happen is some of these folks are so indoctrinated that they think elections are fake, they actually try to get away with it. Well, I'm going to show you. And one of the ladies from Milwaukee, idiot, she voted twice and got caught. It's like, well, I just wanted to prove that if people can vote fraudulently. You idiot, you got charged with a felony. There's no proof that you can vote fraudulently. Dummy. People are so stupid. But here's where it stems from. If you put an expert on a panel and you put an idiot, the viewing public sees them as equal. A liar can be on a panel with a trained data scientist, and people will see the liar as on par with the person who actually did the research. And by providing, quote unquote, equal time to both sides, this is what the American media has done, because people generalize it and they think, well, if this person was such a liar, which they are, well, then why would they be on CNN or MSNBC or ABC News? There must be some truth to what they're saying. No, there isn't. The liar is there to indoctrinate people that don't know any better. And to understand, like the expert, to understand data and fact and science and research, you damn near have to be a statistician yourself. Most people it flies over their heads. Putting a liar next to a trained expert, the public is like, oh, well, the liar made some very good points. No, they didn't. They just made simple points that you can understand, because I can make a lie look like anything. Data and fact is fixed. Either you believe it or you don't. And here's the kicker. Just because you don't believe it, don't make it not true. It's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't believe. I don't believe it's going to be a heat index of 110 degrees up here in Milwaukee, where we sometimes get 2 feet of snow. Just because I don't believe it don't mean it ain't going to happen. I'm going to take a break, come back, continue our little conversation dance here on 101.7 The Truth. I'm your host, Sherwin Hughes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with American Family Insurance, because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
There's a second election case that centers on campaign finance law. These are cases to be decided at the U.S. Supreme Court, because we are at an inflection point here in the United States where some of these court decisions are going to have a major impact on the future of this country. And I feel bad for incoming Democratic legislative majorities, whether it be in states or at the congressional level, because they're going to have an amount of work to do that is going to be impossible to satisfy at the same time the articles of impeachment against Donald Trump are going to take up an awful lot of time and effort. And what's going to happen is the American people are going to get impatient. But instead of being properly outraged by what is happening every day, and I get it, people are busy and they're worried about other things, they have other responsibilities, but the outrage of what this man is doing to the American Republic warrants impeachment, because the future will look back and say, okay, when a president was grifting and stealing money from the American people and getting in bed with foreign leaders, and when he was in the Epstein files, what the hell did America do? We can't say nothing. We can't say, well, we were worried about gas prices. You know, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can, more than one thing can be true at once. We can impeach him and we can try and work on policies that will rectify what he has done. Now, some of this stuff is going to be permanent. Some of the things like taking away minority scholarships and, you know, all these challenges to education. Also, anything related to DEI and affirmative action, y'all, that's dead. And I don't know what kind of civil rights movement we are going to have to reinvigorate some of those things. But anything relating to helping black people is finished. You got Democratic Socialists now chanting, and Hakeem Jeffries talking about you're next, you're next, you're next. The rise of Democratic Socialism, whether y'all like it or not, it is anti-black, because it can be. Because with affirmative action dead and DEI dead, black progress is going to start to wither away, and we are going to be less and less of a factor. Not to mention, black people have our attention split. Our attention is divided. Some are fighting for education. Some are fighting for entrepreneurship. Some are fighting for, God knows, voting rights. Some are fighting for black women's rights. Some are fighting for black gay rights. We are so split. And then you have the people that were in the BET Awards. Shout out to BET Awards as I watched the spectacle of the BET Awards to try and put my finger on the pulse of our culture. I can be honest with you, I didn't know who half of those people were. Tiana Taylor won a big award. Janet Jackson gave it to her. Tiana Taylor was wearing a bust-down wig and one of her boobs was popping out, which is fine. That's okay. That's all right. But then if I look at where our culture is in BET, the awards, which is an annual celebration of black art, entertainment, and culture, etc., it's a finger on the pulse of where we are going. And I don't know where we're going. And maybe I'm just getting old, because I'm looking and I want to keep an open mind. I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. And I fell asleep. So,
yeah, I think you're getting old.
Yeah. I also know that because I have enough perspective in life to see what my generation, when we were young, what we were doing, how we were acting, and what we were responding to at the time that seemed like permanent fixtures of positivity. A lot of that stuff was counterproductive, but we didn't know until we got into the world and got older and had real responsibilities and saw what the world actually was, not what we wanted the world to be. There's a huge difference. If I was young, if I see a problem in the world, I'm like, oh, we can fix that. Everything's too expensive. Well, then make it cheaper. Everything is too hard. Well, then make it easier. Then as you grow up and you start to see how the world actually operates, you are surrounded by people that know more than you in each and every one of the spheres that you want to change. That's what the problem is. Somebody will see your problem. Oh, like wages are too low and worker conditions are not very well and not doing well and women's rights and voting rights. I'm just going to go and change that. Okay, first of all, try to run for office. Okay, good. Congratulations, you won. Now put together a legislative agenda. Everybody's going to hate you. You're not going to get any supporters. You're not going to get any co-sponsors. Now you got to go to political fundraisers that's going to take you off of your square because you need the money from them and you need the money from the lobbyists in order for you to get reelected so you can continue the work that you get no legislative support from your colleagues because they're doing the exact same thing. But this is the same person that said, oh, things are difficult. Let's make it easy. I'm going to fix everything. No, you're not. The system is not designed to move very quickly. Why do you think Jim Crow was in effect for 100 years? I'm going to tell you why. This is something we also don't admit. The South won the war. I'm going to let you sit with that for a second. The battle was one thing. They won the ideology, and let me tell you why. Confederate stars and bars, Confederate flags. I think the last one was just removed off of a state flag in probably the last 4 or 5 years. You still have Confederate monument. They lost a war, but still could display their propaganda. That's not the sign of a side that lost the war. They won the ideology. Donald Trump's America 250, and I guess they're having the Great American Fair, the Great American Carnival that nobody is attending. It is a celebration of white ethno-nationalism here in the United States. That's what the 4th of July is. It's a celebration of white ethno-nationalism in this country. Because in 1776, we still had 90 years left of slavery, then another 100 years of Jim Crow. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys can look this up because I'm not doing any Googling while I'm talking. I think another black woman was just found hanging from a tree. No, go. You want to look something? No, go ahead and look up how many black people have been found hanging from trees in the last maybe 6 months or the last year. All of them ruled suicides. When I say the Confederates won the war, they did win the war because they own the ideology, because look who was president of the United States right now. I'm digressing from my point. There's another U.S. Supreme Court decision on presidential power. There are 3 cases that deal with presidential power. 2 stem from Donald Trump's attempts to fire members of federal boards. 1 involves Lisa Cook. That one was decided, I believe, the Lisa Cook case. A member of the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve. The other involves Rebecca Slaughter, a commissioner on the Federal Trade Commission. Federal law requires any president to have cause to fire a member of the board. Donald Trump's finagling of the economy should be terrifying as well. But I'll admit that I'm still trying to figure out how, with the Straits of Hormuz closed, we've been bombing them. They've been bombing us too all weekend. I don't know if y'all took time away from the BET Awards to see that the war with Iran is not going very well. They just bombed a bunch of stuff in Kuwait. How gas prices have actually come down. The price of crude oil has gone down with the Straits of Hormuz closed. That's number 1. Number 2, we're noticing things here locally, like a bunch of stuff is closing, and it's easy to say, oh, a Walgreens in Milwaukee is closing. I guess the Century on 70th and Lisbon, I guess they're giving out the warning that they might be closing too. It's oh my God, I do got a break. I think we're in a recession, and Donald Trump is finagling the economy and not letting the information flow to the American people. I'll talk more about that during hour 2. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, going over some of these monumental landmark U.S. Supreme Court cases that are going to be very reflective of this era, but also have long-term implications, complicated implications for the future. This whole replacement theory is very real. People do understand that demographically the whites are losing population. There's also this thing called natalism. And natalism is we are encouraging, or at least they were. Donald Trump had floated, if you had a baby, like giving you $2,000 or $5,000. In a lot of countries, Western European countries, they signal willingness to do the same thing because white people just aren't having as many kids. And global majorities of African and Asian and Indian folk, those populations are in fact increasing globally and here in the United States. And so natalism is what we're encouraging people, women, to have more babies. And also it is the impetus behind overturning Roe versus Wade. Why would you attack something that had been settled law for 50 years? If you just look at that practically, it's because too many white women are having abortions. Now, there's also a trade-off. When you adjust for all of the factors that impact a woman's earning potential, if you look at everything, workplace discrimination, maybe women are exposed to jobs that just pay less. Maybe women are more exposed to being the nurse instead of the doctor, being the paralegal instead of the lawyer. You got to look at all of those things and just our cultural gender norms in this country. If you adjust for all of that to try and explain the pay disparity, and we really attacked the pay disparity when Barack Obama got elected, because the first bill that he signed into law, which is always very symbolic for a president. If you look at I think it's the only bill that Donald Trump has signed. So side note on that, there's no way that Barack Obama could have gotten away with only signing one piece of legislation in his first 2 years in office. So for Trump, it was the one big, beautiful bill because he doesn't really understand legislation. He was just like, let's put everything in one bill because I don't want to have to sign a bunch of things. Trump wants to sign executive orders, which don't require any approval from Congress, because he wants to shortcut the system. Now, those executive orders, they don't technically have the force of law, but unless Congress creates a new law that then must be signed by Donald Trump, executive orders do have the force of law. An example of how powerful an executive order can be, and Donald Trump signed 200 of those, but if I'm not mistaken, the big, beautiful bill is the only piece of legislation he actually signed. Barack Obama's first piece of legislation was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, because Barack Obama has a wife named Michelle. And he has two girls, Sasha and Malia. And I'd imagine Barack Obama as a man is probably well informed about the pay disparities that exist when it comes to women, because he has at least three very important women in his life, his two daughters and his wife. And so very symbolically, Barack Obama wanted to sign a piece of legislation that it didn't necessarily make women's pay equal. It made it so that if a woman found out that she was being paid less than a man and she could prove in court her experience was similar and her education was similar, it makes it easier for her to sue. And then the bar that she would have to cross to get restitution was lowered. That's what it did. It didn't equalize pay. It just made employers get put on notice. Like, if you want to pay women less, you can. But if she sues you, you're going to make her whole and then some, right? And so what it did over time is it did reduce the risk that employers were willing to take, because the threat of a lawsuit is a big deal, because that's always going to cost a company more money than just paying a damn woman what the man makes. I'm not intimidated when a woman makes more money. I want women to make more money because then I can save some. I would love it. I watch these videos of like it's dudes nowadays. It's always been men now that stay home, that are stay-at-home dads. This dude was like, I've worked in hard labor jobs. I've worked on construction sites. I've worked in coal mines. He was like, being a stay-at-home dad is the easiest job I ever had. He's like, I get the kids up in the morning. I get them dressed. I make breakfast. You know, I got younger kids. We take them to the park and we all go pick the kids up after school. He was like, it's the easiest job I have ever had. And then he was pushing back on a lot of women and say, oh, being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest work ever. And these men are like, because you've never had a hard job before. Women ain't in coal mines mining the coal. No offense, ladies, but, you know, if you take away having children, there's no pay disparity between men and women. Now, we can talk about that if you so choose, but when women have children, then the pay disparity becomes evident in like 35 metropolitan areas, which is pretty much all the big ones, the major ones. With like 35 metro areas in America, it's probably like 80% of the population. So damn near everybody. In 35 metro areas where women don't have children and they are professionally employed, there is zero pay disparity between them and men. That is encouraging for women that want, obviously, fair pay, but it discourages them from having children. And because there are more white women than any other flavor of woman in America, these white women are like, screw them kids. I'm trying to get money, son. And that is also increasing the hardcore rights, doubling down of natalism, because women are trading having kids. In some cases, white women are. Younger cohorts of white women ain't having no kids. They also ain't getting married. And I say shout out to them. But that is eliminating their pay disparity, but it's also causing white populations to decline at a rapid pace. And because conservatives need to hang on to their numeric majorities in order to be able to effectively control this democracy, they're going to say, okay, women, if you don't want to have any kids because you're out here chasing the bag, once you get pregnant, you're going to have to carry the baby to term. It's a big old mess. 15 dying professions that aren't worth pursuing at this point because they are being updated, outdated, and put to the wayside. The job market seems to be facing more changes than ever. And while some jobs show signs of growth in the future, more and more professions are starting to die. So I'm going to go through, hopefully quickly, these professions. And if you are in these professions, let's just say this. Don't tell your kids to go into these jobs, or don't tell your grandkids to go into these fields, because they are likely going to be replaced or outdated. But this is also going to put more pressure on people that want to be gainfully employed. You're going to have to go back to school or go to school. You're going to have to get some kind of specialized training or some kind of certificate, maybe even a degree, depends on what you want to pursue, because that is the direction that the world is going in. The world is much more technically sophisticated. Where back in the day, you could go and recruit a 16-year-old kid from the Jim Crow South and tell him to come work in a brewery up here in Milwaukee. He wouldn't even need a high school diploma. He could retire after 30 years and be damn near rich. You can't do that anymore. And factory jobs is on this list. For all these people thinking, oh, we got to bring back factory jobs. People don't want factory jobs. They're lying about that. They're lying. Because we were going to have some factory jobs in the meatpacking plant at the old Tower Automotive site over at Century City, and the community thoroughly rejected that. Don't nobody want to work in no factory no more. We keep living in this like nostalgic myth, like, oh, bring back the factory job. It's gonna be 110 degrees outside. Nobody want to be in no factory. It's even hot in this studio right now. I'll take my shirt off. I promise. I've taken my shirt off on air before.
You should.
You know, they had the World Naked Bike Ride over the weekend. Oh, y'all was clutching your pearls. I can't believe it. Y'all over here getting mad at, we got to call the mayor. We got to get these people arrested. First of all, they've been doing it for probably 20 years. It's not illegal. It's a protest. I'm looking at all these just low vibrational thugs that this is where they get offended because they seeing a couple of tallywhackers riding on bikes. I think it's ridiculous. Literally ridiculous. Heavy emphasis on the ridiculous. Nobody care about that. It's designed to get people all up in arms. The number of people in like the 414 Hype House Instagram page, which is the ultimate display of ghetto. And like I listen to some of these black folks that are participating or that are signed up for or subscribed to the 414 Hype House, like the most ghetto, like people that pull guns out and just shoot them randomly in the air. Like, I can't believe that they would ride around naked. I am so offended. I'm like, of all the stuff you can be offended about, some white person's butt cheeks on a bike seat? If anything, you should feel sorry for him. All right, let's talk to someone who doesn't vote. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Turn the radio down. I hear a lot of
good,
background
Sherwin.
noise.
How are you? Oh, sorry.
Okay, then. All right.
Okay. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Sherwin, okay, not for this question is off topic because
Why are you asking it then?
Right. Because I know and we know Trump started this abortion thing because we know the white people were losing population, so that was the reason for all this and what you're speaking of.
He didn't start
But Sherwin,
They've been focused on it for 50 years. They just finally got it under Trump. But go ahead.
Okay. Now, this here is in regards to us black people. We know now that it's not the Mexicans are the most minorities in America. We know now that the Asians are. And what kills me is all these other races called, well, yeah, they are. Look it up. All these races now are calling us the N-word.
Lisa, stop. We can't proceed on a faulty
N-word.
premise. Asians don't outnumber Latinos and Hispanics.
Okay. All right, Sherman. Well, just look it up, and I just want to keep going with this because you like to cut me off, as you see.
Yeah, I can't allow people to, like, this is not a place for false information, though. But go ahead.
Okay, Sherman, just look it up, love. Just look it up. But I'm tired of, all these, Asians. Now with the thing with the Mr. Lee guy with shooting up the young black man that didn't steal the water. Now blacks are protesting their businesses. Okay, now, you guys call us the N-word and, we need you and everything like this. Now they're talking about deport blacks back to Africa. And what they need to realize is
who's talking about
when
that?
you came here, the ages are.
Oh.
The ages are.
Before you go on, Lisa, can I, a real quick question, and I'm going to let you continue, I promise.
Okay.
Which number is bigger, 62 or 24? It's not a trick question. It's just
62, Sherwin.
There are 62 million Hispanics. There are 24 million Asians in the country. So now proceed.
Okay, well, okay, all right. Well, thank you for correcting me, but they are growing. But they come over here. When they came over here, and we went through the Civil Rights Act. We got the law was passed. Now, unfortunately, blacks put in their minority. Okay. Now they hear they're calling us the N-word. They're this and that. We need them and everything. But see, you're living off of our rights, what our people died for, and you're living off our rights. And how dare you call us the N-word? How dare you do this? You're in our communities. We're buying your products. Well, I'm not. I don't buy nothing black. I'm going to, I know there's one black grocery store, but I would like to continue to look on. So, if I'm into different foods now. So, I need their seasonings. But I go to their small stores, which is fine. They will grow. We got to support our local stores. We have to support our black businesses. So what my question is, why do these other minorities come to America, Oh, they shake hands. They're good with the Africans. They're the blacks and whatever. Oh, they're good. Then we call it the N-word, whether you say it behind your back or out loud. You know, you're living off of our rights. Wake up. What blacks need to do is say, look here, government, we want just blacks to be off our rights, no other race. No, say, hey, it's it. Indians, Asians, do you name it, Mexicans, no more minorities, no more, because they disrespecting us. And they believe for some reason that we need you. Do you not know the things that you are using and everything we created? Yeah. So, go and do the nails and everything. Do the bonnets. We created that. Go do the laundry mats and everything. We created those things, that the machines and everything. We created even AI. Yeah, a black man did that. I forgot his last name, Mr. Blackman or something. Yeah, they even got a chip named after him. I said, what the heck when I read that?
So
Black
what you're
people,
saying is
you
that the
got to stay
Asians that
up.
use the N-word, they should get the hell out of here because they're being racist, and an Asian person shot a black person because they're living off of our rights, Lisa. We need to get them out. They shouldn't have anything or benefit from anything that black people accomplished in this country because we invented AI and other things.
Only Asians.
So what do you propose?
Not only Asians.
Should we kill them? Like, how you want to handle the Asians? Because here's the thing: it's it's only 24 million of them, and it's 50 million of us. Okay, so we outnumber them. But here's the problem: Chinese food is delicious. I love me a good egg roll. I like a veggie egg roll. I do a pork egg roll, but it's delicious. You don't like no good shrimp fried rice.
People can make it too.
Lisa, you ever had Harvey Moy's Chinese food? You ever had their crab rangoons? Ooh, make you want to slap your mama.
Oh, I love crab rangoons.
I know you do. We all love crab rangoons. That's why we can't get rid of the Asians. You can't. What you said was so racist, Lisa. You can't get rid of a whole cohort of people. Some Asians are very nice.
Sherwin, you know what? That's the problem. That's our problem.
Tell your women to stop going to the Asians and getting the nails done and buying bundles. Stop buying bundles now.
Well, black women can, if you buy the bundles from black businesses,
black
you'll be
businesses
fine.
don't sell
if you
no
went to
bundles.
The black lady wanted to get your nails done, you'll be fine.
Where is there a black
what you're
business?
about is
Lisa,
be done.
Lisa, you're getting emotional now. Sounding like a woman. Where can a person buy black bundles from a black business?
Woman. Sherwin, look! Oh my gosh, Sherwin, look! It's so many. You need to go to the black business.
No, I don't. I don't need to buy no bundles.
Sherwin,
I don't got no hair on my head. I don't want to have this argument. What do you want to do with the Asians? I got to come to some kind of conclusion. I got to take a break. What do we do with the? Give me a solution.
What I want to do with the Asians?
Yes. What do we do?
What I want to do with the Asians is
internment camps.
Asians. Look, Sherwin. I don't care what we do. We ain't doing nothing. We're just taking our civil rights back.
Okay.
And no other race can get involved. Get in the game. Yeah, Asians, y'all take our culture. Y'all dances. Now you putting your hair with the you getting your hair braided and twisted now. Come on, Asians, what's the matter with you? You're talking about we need you. We don't need nobody. Stop it. And that's all. People think on that, and give me your community think on that, and give me your input on what I just said. Should we get our rights back, take them back? Because every other race is coming in here, and now you're disrespecting us. You're living because the white people don't want to deal with you. You're not gonna go into their community and put Asian food stores on all their corners and liquor stores and laundromats. They don't want you. That's why when you came here, they put you in the red line with the black folks.
All right.
You better wake up.
We got to wake. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
All right, then.
Thank you, Sherwin. Have a good day.
All right, you
Have
too.
a great week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was, like, poetically racist.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was pretty racist.
Black people need to take our rights back. First of all, from who? Who we taking them back from? And it's not, rights are not pie. This is my pie. Give it here. Do you think that, I'm just going to use a blanket statement here, whomever signed laws and legislation and policy and executive orders that made life a little bit more fair for black people, do you think that those people are going to entertain us as black people when we say that, as Lisa said, that the Asians are a problem? You know what those same white people are going to say? Nigger, you're a problem too. I'm not. What do you take rights away from the Asians? The whites like the Asians more than they like us. hey, white people that gave us rights, can we have all of our rights and you give none to the Asians? No. Aw. Guess I'll go twerk. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Y'all didn't tell me my bonnet was crooked. Y'all just don't even care about Sherwin. Got me out here looking like a fool. Hey, Linda, so a former teacher at my high school was listening to you on the Hughes Views 414 podcast, and they heard about the little mini grants that you applied for and received. Can you provide more information on those? Where did you apply to?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, Black Truth Nation. I'm out here walking in my neighborhood and showing. I just came back from my doctor's appointment and riding with, I told you I'd be getting around. So I just had a very, very inspiring conversation.
Can we hold on, Linda? Before you share your life story with us, the grants that you applied for the dancing and the other thing, who is that through?
Yes. Okay. Each alderman or alderperson in your district is allotted $400,000 for this initiative that the city is offering residents to engage in the community, to do anything that engages the community, from starting a garden, teaching young people different things like starting a garden, braiding hair. My son is a fitness coach. He teaches exercising and health fitness, and I wrote up the grant for him in DeAndre Jackson's district that I live in. His residents are the ones most utilizing this grant.
So, Linda, are you applying to the grant does your alderperson send you a form or give you the information?
No.
Or you're applying directly to the alderman?
We in our monthly meeting with our neighborhood organization, the aldermen come about these initiatives, and also city representatives come and tell us about initiatives and things that are going on in the city that they offer and things that we can engage in. And that's what we like about Andre Jackson. But it is through Safe and Sound, which is now housed at 4422 West Leon Terrace. It has taken over a church that used to be there.
Okay, so Linda, I want to make sure that we're very direct with the information, because all the other stuff is going to confuse people. So Safe and Sound administers the grant. Your alderperson of the 7th district, hold on, Linda. DeAndre Jackson told you about the Safe and Sound grant, so you're not applying through your alderperson's office. You're applying through Safe and Sound, and they have an allocation for each aldermanic district, so someone should go to Safe and Sound. Okay, that's all we needed now.
That's it. And then once you apply either in person or online at Safe and Sound, neighborhoodgrant.org, they will notify you within 30 to 60 days. Since my initiative for Next Arts Dance Academy and tutoring is a new initiative for me, it may take up to 60 days to be approved, because I have to show them what I'm doing.
Fair enough.
Where our facility, dance studio going to be at.
Now, if there's other stuff that you wanted to add, just telling us about your day in general, I suppose now is the time you can do that. But because I got a specific request on that information, I wanted to make sure that we have that out there for the record. So the grant is through Safe and Sound.
Yes. And the Safe and Sound is offering this grant through the city, who is offering it as an initiative to get the community engaged and distracted from, criminal activity.
Okay. There was other stuff you probably wanted to tell us that's only important to you, but by all means, we're all ears.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you, man. It was a brother, and we was like-minded, because we was talking about the black woman, how her mitochondria, her total essence, her total existence. Honey, we would not be here without the black woman, and also America and the world would not exist without the black people. Hello, somebody. They can't get rid of us. Hello, no matter how many challenges, obstacles, oppression they try, we still rise above. Hello, somebody, because it's in our DNA, mother. Hello, I'm gone. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Oh, I turned my mic off. Do other radio shows have this same kind of callers where they call and just scream?
I only do the morning show.
All right. Well, the grant is through Safe and Sound, so I would double check to see if literally any of that information is accurate. I do know that she applied for some grant. Now, the grants that Linda got were small, But if Safe and Sound is offering $400,000 per aldermanic district, that seems excessive. I'm assuming it might be $400,000 citywide, but go to Safe and Sound. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a break. Anybody else want to call and just scream stuff? That's fine. We'll let you scream. Hello, somebody. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At UW Milwaukee, students don't have to wait until college to start building their future. Roar Ready lets students K through 12th grade join in hands-on programs across campus. From science and tech to arts, sports, and more, students try new things, meet new people, and build skills that matter. Programs are led by UW Milwaukee faculty, staff, and current students. And it's easy to register online. Get started today at uwm.edu/roarready. UW Milwaukee. Roar Ready. Your child's future starts here.
Freedom has a history. Come experience it. Visit the Milton House Museum, Wisconsin's only certified Underground Railroad site open to the public. Tour the historic 1844 Inn, step down into the cellar, and walk through the underground tunnel in the footsteps of freedom seekers who risked everything on their journey to liberty. Hear powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, hope, and determination, and discover Wisconsin's connection to the Underground Railroad and the fight for freedom. Guided tours of the Milton House are available Tuesday through Sunday through Labor Day weekend. Learn more at miltonhouse.org.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
"15 dying professions where these professions might have paid you a good wage, good benefits over the course of a previous era, but now they're outdated, requiring some to have to either get replaced or update your skills." Number one is factory workers. Robots have already replaced some factory jobs, even as simple as moving one box from one area to another. This means there's potential for machines to take over jobs, particularly those that might be considered dangerous to human workers. However, replacement rates might not be as high as we think. A recent study by Brigham Young University found that 14% of workers surveyed had their jobs replaced by robots, but those workers tended to exaggerate the rate at which they were being replaced. Number two, I don't think they're in any particular order. This is just how they're listed on this particular website. I've never used this service in my entire life, and I never really understood why people ever use this service, but I bet maybe 30 years ago, well, more than that, 40 years ago, you had to use a travel agent. Travel agents can be a great asset when you need someone to help you plan an all-inclusive vacation to an area you might not be familiar with while also saving you money on travel. However, algorithms are becoming savvier, and sometimes all a traveler needs to do before a trip is a quick search online to discover what's available at a particular destination. Many travel sites also take advantage of ChatGPT through virtual assistants who can help customers answer questions about airfare and accommodations. And for those of you who may be familiar with ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence clients, oh, it makes travel planning so easy. Hey, ChatGPT, I want to go here on these dates. I want to stay in a nice hotel with amenities on site and access to the beach. Not only will it give you a listing, it'll tell you the flights. It'll give you all the details about the flights and the hotel. It's so very easy. I've never used a travel agent. That doesn't mean that travel agents weren't very useful at one point in time, but they are being replaced. And if you were a travel agent, or if you are one, you might want to consider maybe looking at your skills that you have garnered over your years of being a travel agent and maybe thinking about being a consultant or some other kind of entrepreneur. The next, and this one is sad, is reporters. The news industry as a whole has seen rounds of layoffs in recent years, in part because advertising and subscription revenue have dried up for newspapers and other forms of media. The Pew Research Center found that newsrooms have lost more than 25% of their workforce since 2008, and news organizations like Sports Illustrated, why they named Sports Illustrated, I don't know, and the Los Angeles Times have made major cuts relatively recently. Another job that is being, I guess, replaced, outsourced, upgraded, updated, I don't know, administrative assistants. Executives rely on administrative assistants to schedule appointments, take notes, and plan their travel arrangements. Previously, many executives expected someone to be on their side to do all of this, but remote work has changed the landscape. A virtual administrative assistant, for instance, can help an executive from anywhere in the world. This also means that someone can potentially serve as an assistant for more than one executive, meaning there could be more supply than demand for the role of administrative assistant. The next, translators. Translators are essential in many professional settings, including hospitals, schools, and international businesses. However, technology is making translation services readily available, bumping humans out of positions in favor of programs that can often translate in more than one language. Oh, this one for sure. This next one. Oh, yeah, I haven't seen one of these people in a long time. A bank teller. It is nearly impossible nowadays to find a bank that doesn't have an app or offer online access to your accounts, whether you're looking to set up a direct deposit or transfer money from one account to another. Most banks usually offer an online feature to get started. And some banks operate entirely online. SoFi is one of them. Total online bank. Online features also mean you have access to your account 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, resulting in less need for bank tellers. Do y'all remember having to go to the bank? Ooh, I got to get to the bank before the bank closes. Before Guarantee Bank, because I've been with Guarantee Bank since I was 18 years old. That was my first checking account. I ain't going to lie to you. My first check that I got, since I had my first bank account, I think I had whatever account my parents had when I was 17. When I was 18, I went and opened me up a checking account at Guarantee Bank, and I was working at Home Goods at the time in Brown Deer. It's long gone now. And my first check was for $100. I worked roughly 30 hours at $4.25 an hour. That is a disgustingly low minimum wage. And my paycheck was about $100. Okay? And let me just tell you how insane this is. So this is 1993. I deposited $95 in the bank because I got paid every week at Home Goods. I need you to think about this now. I deposited, of my $100 paycheck that I got, back then $100, then was like $1,000 now. I deposited $95 and I kept $5 out for the week and I made it. $5. I had no credit card bills. I wasn't paying any rent. I didn't have a damn cell phone. Gas wasn't even $1 a gallon. When I started driving, gas was probably 90 cents a gallon. So for $5, and I probably didn't do much. I wasn't drinking yet. I probably just go hang out at a friend's house. Well, no, I take that back. We probably go get a 40 from White Hen Pantry. Yeah, I was drinking. But a 40 was $2. So I would work. And on a weekend, you go to somebody's house. One of your friends had an apartment somewhere because some of our friends got apartments right after high school. You go kick it at a friend's house. Get you a 40. I was smoking cigarettes back then. A pack of squares was $1.90. So for $5, I could get a 40 ounce of Old English 800 malt liquor, which we called 8-Ball, and a pack of cigarettes. Hell, that'd be my weekend, right? That's $5 right there. Boy, these were simple times. You used to have to go to the bank if you wanted to transfer money. This is even before, maybe you had an ATM card. Back then, it wasn't even an ATM card. It was called a time card. It was called a time machine. If you wanted money, you had to go to the actual bank before the bank closed and do a withdrawal. You got to write stuff down on paper. Or if you had a time card, TYME, then you could go get money from a time machine. But every bank, like now, if you go to your bank, they probably have an ATM that you can access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at most banks. Back then, you had to find a time machine to go and get money if you wanted money after the bank is closed. So bank tellers are another job that are being replaced. I don't even remember the last time I saw a bank teller. I honestly cannot remember. So Guarantee Bank got bought out by First Citizens. And when we transitioned over from First Citizens, there was literally no need to ever go to the bank ever again. You could do everything online. You could transfer money from one account to another account. You could check your balance. You used to have to go to the bank. Or some banks, you could call a number. You would call the bank and you would put in you put in your account number and it would tell you what your balance was. But prior to that, you would have to go to the bank. You wouldn't even know how much money you had if you checked your checkbook. I got a question for you, Xavier. Did you ever have a checkbook, like a check register?
No, but okay. I did learn how to use one in high school.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, they taught us that in high school as well. Like you had to, and then somebody, I got to balance my checkbook. Do you guys remember writing checks at the grocery store? And you got to pull out your checkbook? That is foreign to me. If I see somebody right now, nowadays, writing a check at a grocery store, I don't know what I would do. I would inquire as to what year they were from. And I remember, because then your total will be $79.29. And you'd have the check pre-filled out. The name of the grocery store, you would do your signature at the bottom, and then, they tell you what the total is, and then boom, you got to write out $79.20. And then on that second line, you have to literally write out the dollar amount, and then boom, you hand them the check. But then you have to open up your checkbook, and you have to do minus $79 and whatever the cents was. And then maybe on the weekends or at the end of the day, you would balance your checkbook. And if your math was off, you would miscalculate your money and you would overdraft. Like now people don't even know how to do that skill. That to me is still a skill that needs to be taught and understood. Basic math, balancing a checkbook. You know that your checks are written in sequential order? Now, I never realized that because if I'd get a new box of checks, I would just grab a random check. Did you know that your checks are issued in sequential order? I was talking to my mother, it's probably a couple of years ago, and her check number was like 30,000 or something. Well, that's odd. She was like, no, this is because I've written 30,000 checks. What? Emma, that's insane. She was like, Sherwin, you mean your checks are not in sequential order? I mean, when I think about it, I suppose the first check that you get in a new checkbook is 00001, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isn't that crazy? Next on the list is cashiers. You may have noticed more self-checkout lanes at your grocery store or other retailers like the Target and the Walmart and the Costco. Perhaps your local McDonald's has touch screens to place an order. I want to admit something embarrassing, and I'm going to take a break. So I like the McDonald's strawberry banana smoothie, and there's a McDonald's that I go to that's fairly close to my house. In fact, no matter where I'm at in the city, I'm never more than a mile away from a McDonald's, which is crazy. And the drive-through line was insane, and I didn't want to wait in that drive-through line just to order me a smoothie. I walked into this McDonald's. It's the one on like 66th and North Avenue. I didn't know what to do. There's a gigantic touchscreen. I didn't know how it was foreign to me. That was the first time I had been inside that McDonald's since they went mostly automated. So I go to the touchscreen and I'm just scrolling through and I order my smoothie, but then it had like these little plastic number plates. I was like, oh, I just placed my order. And the next number plate was like 32. So I placed my order for my smoothie. I paid for it right there at the kiosk. And I grabbed number 32, thinking they would call number 32. They didn't. They just yelled out my order. It was so chaotic. And half of the people that are actually in the McDonald's are all door dashers. It was frightening. Is this what it's like to get old, to not recognize the world? And I'm trying to keep up as much as I possibly can, but granted, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot keep up with everything because I got to stay focused on my day job, which is, information that's going to impact us here in the city of Milwaukee. So I may not know what's going on. I don't know what the Jews are doing in Israel, nor do I care. I may not, Xavier told me it was an earthquake in Venezuela, which I saw a little bit about. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I don't live in Venezuela. I don't even know no Venezuelans. Even if I had a list of 46 countries to go to, Venezuela is like number 119. And it's real sad when that stuff happens, but I can't keep up with everything because I'm trying my damnedest just to survive from one day to the next. Terminologies are changing. You can't use certain words anymore. Nobody sends me the new sheet of updated terms. You can't call somebody a this or that, and the pronouns and the he nouns and the she nouns and the he mans and the she mans and the transgenders and the gender transes. What do you want me to? I'm drowning here. Just trying to keep my head afloat. Now everybody's a socialist. Everybody's gay. Xavier's over here throwing his hands up in the air. I had a person call my Hughes Views 414 podcast. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. It's a hell of a good time. In fact, Linda had called, because we can take calls on the YouTube show. I do it from 7 until 8 p.m. If you missed this program and if you want like a digest or a recap, or if you want to hear uncensored conversation, you can join us on Hughes Views 414 exclusively on YouTube, Monday through Friday from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. And so we were talking about relationships on Friday because sometimes, the talk about politics and candidates gets a little monotonous. So we like to break it up and have a little fun. So we're talking about relationships and people are calling in, and Al called in and Dion called in. And then we got a mystery caller. And they solved, it was a man. He solved his problems that he was having with women because he just wasn't finding benefit in his relationships with women and they weren't working out. And this individual who called into the Hughes Views 414 podcast exclusively on YouTube from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. weekdays, they said, I've come up with a solution for my problem with women, and women are untrustworthy and they're terrible. And they said they just started dating men. There's a man called into the show and said, you all should try it, fellas. If you're not getting along with women and your relationships with women are not working out, you should just date a man. And this fellow was very emphatic in his support for his new homosexual relationship. And he said, hey, sometimes my boyfriend wants to have a threesome. I'm like, cool. And we get along. And that's what.
Sounds healthy to me.
We have different definitions of healthy. I don't care how many times I get disappointed by a woman. I'm just going to have to keep on getting disappointed. I ain't never go choose no tallywhacker over no cooter cat. Never. Are you kidding me? Tallywhackers are disgusting. Ladies, I feel bad for you because how do you look at that thing and say, ooh, I like that. That's okay. I'm going to take a break now, but you should subscribe to the Hughes Views 414 podcast. I'm not going to be broadcasting this Thursday or Friday here or on YouTube because I'm going to take a little time off. Y'all, I haven't had any serious time off since my father passed away, so I'm not here on Thursday or Friday of this week, but I will be back after the 4th of July holiday. So just a little programming note that I will not be broadcasting live this Thursday or Friday. I'm going to spend some time with friends and family over the holiday weekend. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Another dying profession, bookkeepers. Bookkeepers used to be a vital part of tracking expenditures and income for companies and other entities. However, like many other administrative jobs, bookkeepers are now replaced by software that exists that can automate financial tracking. So a lot of bookkeepers have become accountants, and accountants have sometimes transitioned into like corporate accountants because the tax code gets more complicated every single year. But that just shows that if you started out as a bookkeeper, then you might have gone to school and taken a few more classes, then you became an accountant. Then you can become a certified public accountant. If you're a CPA, you're going to make money because political campaigns need CPAs because that's how they track campaign donations and expenditures. And if you screw up on your campaign finance reports, at the very least, you'll get a fine. At most, somebody will go to jail and get a felony. So I'm just showing the transition over time of how you have to update your skills in order to keep pace with a very quickly changing job market. And in hour 3, I'm going to get to the details of how the Trump administration has made that transition more difficult, if not impossible. So if you started off as a typist and you had to update your skills because the new job was a secretary, and then you went from typist to secretary, and then from secretary you became the executive assistant until you were ultimately replaced by artificial intelligence, where you can now have a virtual assistant. There's always a trajectory for people that start off in a job to get additional training and to move up and to increase their salary and increase their responsibilities. It is just a normal, natural progression. Some of you that worked in jobs for 30 plus years, think about where you started and then think about where you finished. Think about all the training you had to do. And sometimes the company would train you. They would do internal trainings, or they would pay for you to go to college. And a lot of businesses do that. They'll pay for their employees to get retrained, get their skills updated, because as the market changes and as consumer demand changes, the skills that your employers need to have also change. And sometimes that means you have to go back to school. When I give you the details, like, this is just, and I thought that I couldn't be shocked anymore, but they just keep on surprising me. It makes me wonder what Donald Trump is going to have planned and what his administration has planned for his last 2 lame duck years, when I'm assuming the Democrats are going to have majorities in the House of Representatives and potentially the U.S. Senate, because they're going to be attacking him incessantly. And I want us to have some tolerance for that, because you're going to want legislation to come, and you're going to want the economy to get back on track, and you're going to want the Democrats to get back to governing. And I hope that they're able to do that, but they're going to do so in a very hostile environment, because Donald Trump is not likely to sign any bills that are passed by a Democratic Congress, especially bills that constrain his power. That is why he went to the Supreme Court to increase his powers over Congress, because if Trump loses this very friendly Republican-controlled Congress, he's not going to be able to get anything done. And so I can already feel the frustrations of the American people when the Democrats get the majority, because people are going to think like, oh, great, now we can get back to normal life. It's going to be anything but normal. And there's also going to be a newly defined role for African Americans in political participation, because if we don't have the opportunities that were presented with a sensitivity to diversity, equity, and inclusion and affirmative action, because all that has been erased, then Black people will become less and less of a factor, because now there's no consequences to not hiring and giving opportunities to Black people, because we have lost some of the things that give some African Americans a second look, especially in corporate America. Like, we're going to become non-factors very soon. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I'm Sherwin Hughes, and I know the power of Stars and Stripes Honor Flight firsthand. As someone who's been on an honor flight, I can tell you it's a day you'll never forget. Stars and Stripes Honor Flight gives our oldest veterans who served in any location in June of 1975 or earlier a free one-day trip to Washington, D.C. for veterans. Airfare, meals, a coach bus tour, and special flight apparel are all included. It's a day of honor, gratitude, and camaraderie. Veterans who served in the Vietnam or Korean War go to flySSHF.org and ask for an application.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Spaces are limited. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkeprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way.
improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to healthcare and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I was telling you about a number of professions that are being replaced as they are no longer needed in this highly sophisticated technological and digital age. And sometimes automation or artificial intelligence or even a robot can be much more efficient than an actual human worker. And this doesn't bode well for people who worked in these fields that are now going by the wayside. But this is a pretty normal, natural, common occurrence. You can go from a long time ago, you were a typist, and then you were a secretary, and you may have retired from that job as an executive assistant. And so at each of those successive steps, because you're all expected to increase your skill set and your productivity because the market requires it. Any company or business that wants to be successful has got to live in the 21st century, and that means making some upgrades, including to the upgrades of your staff's skill set. And that's not shocking to anybody because most people can tell you stories of how they started at one position and then they were trained internally and they got a promotion, or they went and they got a degree, or they got a certificate or an associate's degree, and that also helped them at that same company. And if you were lucky, your company even paid for your education because they know that having an educated workforce helps them become more productive. None of this is new, but the Trump administration wants to interrupt that. I want to give you a few more of these dying professions because this may shock a couple of you. Translators, bank tellers, cashiers, bookkeepers, postal workers. Everyone gets mail, but how that mail arrives at your home and what is in your mailbox is changing. For instance, many companies now offer online bill pay instead of sending paper bills. When was the last time you got a cell phone bill in the mail? When was the last time you even got a We Energies bill in the mail? I get a text message saying, hey, this is what your We Energies bill is this month. Here's when it's due. How many of you still get credit card bills in the mail? You know what I get in the mail? Stuff from Spectrum. I'm not signing up for your cable and your internet, Spectrum. Leave me alone. And then they send people to my house. I get offended. And I know it's their job. I know. Go and knock on the door. Hi, are you paying too much for your cable and your internet? Probably, but I'm not going to buy anything from you. You've got 3.2 seconds to leave my property. Otherwise, it's going to be hot. It's going to be real hot for you, buddy. It's going to be hotter than it is outside. I hate when people come to my house. And then, because I don't even go to the door. I answer them through the Ring camera. And the Spectrum salespeople that are out there walking the street, they're just like street walking hoes. They're just like prostitutes just trying to sell that ass for Spectrum, right? And they get aggressive with, sir, can you please come to the door? I would like to share with you the offers that we have here at Spectrum. I got into an argument with a Spectrum person before, and they get aggressive with it. So I get Spectrum people, they'll come to the door and they'll leave stuff on my door about, sign up for cable It's 2026. If you have cable nowadays, you're a sucker. Why would you get cable? And you know what else I get? Those coupon flyers that always end up on the ground and end up as litter all over the city. And you know what's crazy about those coupon flyers? You can't stop them. There's no opting out. Isn't that wild? Somebody is wasting money. There's some days, there's some weeks where the only mail that I get is a coupon flyer for a Hardee's buy one, get one half off double cheeseburger. I don't even know. It's only one Hardee's left in the whole city, and it's damn near in Cudahy. So we don't get a lot of mail. Postal workers are another job that are being replaced. Both of my parents retired as postal workers, and they got out while the getting was good. Number 10, customer service representatives. Number 11, dispatchers. Dispatchers help organize and plan routes for a variety of industries, including ambulances and taxis. When was the last time you called a taxi? I don't think they exist anymore. You used to see cabs and taxis. You know, they weren't always yellow here. Back in the day they were, but you don't even see them anymore. Like, oh, hi, I need a taxi. Can somebody call this man a taxi? No. Call your ass a Lyft. Yeah, taxi drivers, we've seen them get replaced in the last 10 years. So I remember when Uber came to Milwaukee, because before 2013, there was no Uber here. They had Uber in Chicago. They had Uber in big cities. And so a friend of mine was the lobbyist for Uber. I didn't even know what it was because the way they described it didn't make any sense. Oh, it's a ride-sharing company. I'm like, who am I sharing a ride with? Oh, no, but it's a technology company. If you ask an Uber representative what Uber is, they're going to say it's a technology company that meets a need with technology, and they just happen to do ride sharing. It's kind of confusing. Just like y'all think McDonald's is a fast food chain. It is, but McDonald's is a real estate company that figured out selling hamburgers to fat people is a way in which they can maximize the value of their real estate. Here's a little trick about McDonald's. They own every single store, every single restaurant you see. And if you're a franchisee, you are leasing that building from McDonald's, regardless of whether you sell a single McDouble. McDonald's is getting their money every single month from those franchisees. Oh, it's a wild world we live in. Number 12 is computer programmers. A career in information technology or IT can be quite lucrative, but the overall need for programmers is declining as automation makes computer programming faster and more efficient. Number 13 is, this one shocks me, corrections officers. Working in a prison as a corrections officer can be a difficult job, and while there's always a need for corrections officers, the number of positions needed is on the decline. One reason for the cutback of corrections officers is the reduction of inmates, which has been declining over the last several decades, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The decline started around 2014, and although the number of inmates might increase, prisons have learned to operate with fewer staff. You know what started happening right around 2014, 2012 actually? The legalization and decriminalization of marijuana, both for medical and recreational use, which we know incarcerated a lot of people. Number 14 is retail workers. And the last one on the list of jobs that are being essentially outdated and outsourced are projectionists. Movie theaters are great places to be entertained while enjoying snacks and sitting in a comfy modern movie seat. Many theaters have also upgraded to include reclining seats and dinner service. But these upgrades also extend to the projection booth, where a traditional projectionist has been replaced with a digital movie projector. Many of these new projectors operate with just the click of a mouse, meaning not many people are required to operate a multi-screen theater. You know, back in the day, what people used to do when it was real hot outside, they go to the movies. They go sit in a movie theater, or they would go to the mall. Now what do y'all do? Because it's going to be 200,000 degrees. What are you going to do? Xavier, do you have air conditioning where you live at? In the luxurious east side?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll be all right.
And I have the breeze.
Oh, from the lake.
Yep, I'm pretty close to the lake.
Nice natural air conditioning there. You probably also get impacted by, you guys get lake effect snow sometimes.
Yep.
Where it'll snow by you and not by anybody else. Okay. All right. So I just gave you a big list of jobs that are being, I don't know, I guess they're considered outdated and they are professions that are dying. Now, in some cases, you can go back to school, retool your skills, and maybe seek a promotion in that same company, because a lot of businesses will say, hey, you know what, we're upgrading these positions, we're going to require additional skills. It oftentimes comes with better benefits and more money, which is a good thing, but it may require additional education. And we know that education is extremely expensive. I want to give you guys like an example or a perspective here. Follow me if you will. Cars, still very necessary, especially if you live in Milwaukee. It really helps to have a car. Now, we have more bike lanes. More people are riding bikes, I guess. And we do have some public transportation here. You have the Milwaukee County Transit System, and you've got these rapid transit routes from the suburbs to different places throughout the metropolitan area. You've got park and rides, but no offense to people that ride the bus. It's weird. There's weird people. There's weird things that happen on buses. You ever just drive past a bus stop somewhere in the city and you just see a person singing and dancing? There's no music playing. They're not wearing any headphones. Or you ever just see a person just randomly practicing karate. And they may not be in the actual bus shelter, but they're really close to it. Or if they are practicing their karate and potentially singing and dancing at the same time, remember, there's no headphones, there's no music, then everybody else is standing outside of the bus shelter. I don't want to ride in a tube with a person like that. And maybe I'm being mean, but if I see somebody singing and dancing and there's no music and they're practicing judo, I'm not getting on a bus with you. What is that, classist? I'll drive my goddamn Tesla right past you. Beep the horn.
You know, it's funny. I saw some kid actually practicing karate on his mom at the bus stop.
I bet you did. I believe
he was beating the hell out of her.
That's not nice. You're supposed to intervene. You have a duty to intervene.
I'm driving by. What am I, pull over?
Yes.
That kid probably beat me.
Well, you and the mama versus the kid.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good fight.
All right. You got to have a car. It helps. The Trump administration's approach to the increase in cost of education, which you're going to need it. Now, it depends on what you want to do, where your skill set is. Let me do a quick side note. I think that our schools, and I don't know when you implement it, I don't know how you implement it, I think that every child every single year needs to take a skills assessment test. Hear me out. Not a skills assessment necessarily on how well they read and how well they can do grade level math. We already have those tests, and those tests are revealing something. I think it's tragic. I think it is the biggest crisis of our time, and it gets the least amount of attention, how poor performing American students are, not just here, but everywhere. How does that bode well for the future when you have a generation of students that just are not doing well when it comes to real basic reading and math? And I think it's starting to show up in our politics because everybody wants to oversimplify things. And if you have an simple approach to politics, you are not going to understand what is happening to you, because that's in the fine print is your future. And if you cannot read or interpret or critically think about the fine print, you are screwed. Okay? So when I say children and young people need an annual skills assessment, find out what these children are actually good at. Some of them have a skill, they have a talent, and there's a way in which we can find that out. Hear me out now. I got an idea, because we got to try something, because whatever we're doing right now, I assure you it does not work. Through their skills, and it could be music, it could be art, it could be dance, it could be a different kind of dexterity where some children need to learn hands-on. I think they all have a skill. And once you determine what that skill is, through that skill is how you teach them how to read and how to do math. You can't just teach reading and phonics just on its own. You have to find out what that child is naturally interested in and what they naturally gravitate toward. What does this child do other than play video games? What do they do as a hobby? When you give a child time, what is it that they go and choose to do? And whatever that thing is, because every child has a thing. I was a weird little kid. I did everything from playing an instrument to grow plants. I grew string beans in my bedroom. I was a weird kid. Can't you tell? My parents didn't know what to do with me. They put me in music lessons and I'd get bored. My dad tried to put me in karate lessons. I didn't want to do that because you had to do a whole bunch of push-ups and sit-ups. Like, I wanted to get to being like Bruce Lee. And like, no, Sherwin, you have to learn discipline. I watch Kung Fu theater. I want to be able to do that. You will learn how to do that many years' time. I don't know why I'm bowing and putting my hands together. That's very racist. Apparently, according to Lisa, it's okay to be racist against the Asians. Because I'll tell you what. If I enjoy your food, can I be a little racist towards you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Asians got some good food. Not just the Chinese. Thai food, my favorite Thai restaurant, I don't even want to tell you what it is. Because I don't want you to go. Sherwin, you're gatekeeping. Yep. Because I've seen what you people do to beautiful establishments. You know how much reminiscing we have to do on places that have closed because of some of you? You guys remember the Empire Room on Highway 100 in Silver Spring? Literally the Hall of Fame of one of the best nightclubs Milwaukee has ever seen. We affectionately called it the Imp. If you know, you know. If you don't, it's none of your damn business. You had to be there for it. Any nightclub that existed before you suckers just stood around in the VIP section, not even dancing, with your phones out, just taking pictures of everybody. How are you even enjoying life? You know what else I hate since I'm on an old man rant? How you going to go to a concert and see a performer that you may not see very often? And let me tell you, I'm kicking myself for not going to Don Toliver. I should have went. I should have went to Don Toliver. Man, the things I'm seeing from his tour, that Octane tour, I'm so mad that I didn't go to that. I think he's coming to Chicago next month. I might go down to Chicago to the Rosemont to check him out. But you have these performers that are there because like an in-person experience is like, it's transformational. You ever just be in a mood and in the moment you're at a live show and you're just grooving and singing along? It's a beautifully human moment where you are sharing this experience with a whole bunch of people. It's like what the movies used to be. It's all of these people. You're all very different. You're all very unique, but you're in this communal experience together, all watching the same thing. And everybody pulls out their damn phones. When are you going to rewatch a concert? Do you ever do that? There's people that record a whole concert, a 2-hour show. They're not even looking at the actual performer. They're just viewing it through their screen. Are you really going to go and say, oh, I think I'm going to watch the Don Toliver concert that I recorded last summer. Let me just sit and watch it on my phone. You miss the actual show in favor of a representation of the show on your phone. That's insane to me. Everywhere you go, these damn phones are out like this. They're killing us with the phone. Maybe we're not thinking about that critically enough. I think that some of y'all are not. I find myself in my phone way too often. Hey, let me just check Facebook to see what a bunch of people who I don't know, will never meet, that I wouldn't even know they exist. Let me see what they ate today. When I get my my usage, because my phone tracks my usage of social media every Sunday morning, I get a usage of how much I was on my phone and all the different apps over the week. I'm nauseated. I'm like, oh my God, I use Facebook that many hours? Let me go check Facebook to see what else is going on. It's insane. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. I'm going to talk to Al. And here's the thing I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to come back and give you more information on the other side. The Trump administration is literally limiting how much money you can borrow to go to college. Okay? What if the Trump administration, to give you a perspective, because they're saying, oh, well, if we limit how much money you can borrow, then college tuition is going to have to come down. You know how insane that is? That's what they're saying. There's an anti-intellectual streak that exists in Republicans. We can trace it right back to Ronald Reagan. I got those details if you need to know the history of this, because Ronald Reagan identified the more education somebody gets, the more likely they are to be a liberal, the more likely they are to be a Democrat, because, you know, Democrats and liberals, not only did they dominate with their technology during the Civil War, even though technically the South won, the North won because they had transportation networks of railroads, and they also had the telegraph, and they invented the Air Force. There's more colleges and universities of high caliber in the North than in the South. And the Republicans realize this. If you make educated people the enemy, that's number one. Number two, make education itself the enemy, because if people are uneducated and they're not critically thinking, not only are they going to be kept out of the job market and they're going to be disproportionately poor, you'll be able to control and manipulate a poor person that doesn't have an education over a person who has options and opportunities because they got a degree. And that's just the truth. You can disagree with it all you want, and a lot of people do. Sherwin, you don't need a degree to be successful. What are you going to sell, ass or dope? Because that's what it's going to come down to. Very unlikely. Now, some people can. If you're like a Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or one of these other, even the people that invent Steve Jobs, they all dropped out of college because they were smarter than the colleges that they attended. And that's just the truth. But that's not most people. And in most jobs that you all have had, you have to update your skill set or you're going to be replaced. Most people got to go back to school at some point if you want to survive in this world. The Trump administration is limiting how much money people can get to go to college, and they're selling it by saying, well, if you can only borrow $20,000 to go to college, then colleges can never cost more than $20,000. How about I give you this example? What if banks said, yeah, we're only going to lend out $3,000 for you to buy a car? That's it. Legally, $3,000 is all we can give you. Do you think that Ford, Chrysler, GM, Honda, Hyundai, and Toyota are going to start making $3,000 cars? No, you're not going to be able to get a car. That's what the Trump administration is banking on. Well, if we just limit how much money you can get to go to college, then all colleges are going to be cheap. If I limit how much money you can borrow to buy a car, do you think that all of a sudden Toyota is going to make $97 Corollas? They will not. You just won't be able to afford to buy a car. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The African American Roundtable, black-led organization on Milwaukee's far northwest side, has launched a safety campaign rooted in the basic need of food access. It's called Feed the Change MKE. Through community engagement, AART learned that easy access to and education about locally sourced and fresh food would help people feel healthier and safer. Also, local food providers need to learn how to engage the community, build awareness, and stay in our community long-term. So Feed the Change MKE encourages people to know, grow, prepare, and share food, especially from community-owned and operated stores, gardens, markets, and other culturally relevant sources. We can't rely on big corporations to meet these needs. That's why we must demand the city to invest $1 million into the Healthy Food Establishment Fund, formerly called the Fresh Food Access Fund. Join AART's campaign to win a dignified and choiceful system that we all can thrive in. Visit AARTMKE.org to learn more about Feed the Change MKE.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Will the new student loan limits actually drive down tuition? Economists weigh in. So here's what's crazy. These new limits on how much money you can borrow to go to college take effect July 1st. So basically in, 72 hours? So if you need to borrow money to start school in the fall, you're going to be limited. I want you to keep this in mind. At the state level, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, which has an overwhelming liberal majority, has declared unconstitutional a scholarship that impacts minority students and their $20,000 they could qualify for college. That has been made unconstitutional. Let me go a little bit further. In Wisconsin, there's also going to be a ballot referendum on our November general election ballot that is going to make permanent unconstitutional DEI and affirmative action in the state of Wisconsin. But our Supreme Court made a decision, a liberal Supreme Court made a decision to essentially end a minority scholarship program that State Senator Dora Drake was able to take advantage of. And they didn't wait until the voters weighed in on it, which they could have done. They weighed in on it early. 5 liberal justices sided with the 2 conservative justices and to take away a minority scholarship because it's not fair to white people, completely overlooking history when our access to education wasn't fair to black people. This is where we are at. And so I just want people to have a different perspective of the diminished importance of black people in American daily life and American politics. This is an impact that Trumpism is having, and it's impacting the Democrats that we never thought it would. Because I think America was always looking for an excuse to subdue our power. In the grand scheme of things, when you think about it, for some folks, they almost call it an ethnic cleansing. Not my words, their words. The number of black people that moved to upper Midwestern cities like Gary, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, and Milwaukee because we migrated from the South. Well, white people left the city. We know that because they settled in the suburbs, and then they went even further out to Waukesha, Washington County, West Bend, Slinger, Hubertus, Hartford. They went way, way out. The more of us that came here, the further out they went. There was literally somebody that said, oh, that was an ethnic cleansing of white people. Not necessarily because the white people chose to move. But ultimately, here's what their scheme or their plan was. White people needed to make enough money and have enough money to move far enough away to where they could run away from the impact of the civil rights movement. If the civil rights movement gave black people more options and more opportunity, we could go to college and we can live wherever we wanted. If those were extensions of the civil rights movement, then some white people needed to have enough money where they could move away, where they could not be impacted by the progress that black people were making. Let's talk to Al, shall we? Hello, Al. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing fine. But you know what I find to be so funny? Everybody want to be racist against black people until they want something meaty with a varicose vein. Now everybody know how to put their biggest smile on. Then I sit here and look at how dumb and unintelligent these Republicans is, like with the replacement theory, the white nationalist Christians. Why y'all just didn't go get a rib? If you just worried about being replaced, go get a rib. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, because Eve was created from Adam's rib.
Yeah. So go take a rib. But see, y'all wasn't taking ribs because you was too busy taking little boys and little girl innocence. You know, and the real reason you're worried about it, see, a lot of y'all got bad circuit breakers. Because every time you turn it on, it gets off. Because you can't turn it on because it can't get off. So what is the big problem? That's something that deals with your health. Maybe y'all should have stopped doing all those chemicals. And then they sit here and try to make it seem like it's us. Let me say something to you white nationalist Christians. Black people ain't never asked you for a goddamn thing. Black people mind their business. You made it a point to get in their business. okay? When your husband was whipping your ass from the living room all the way to the alley and brought you in with two black eyes and two bow-legged teeth, you still lay there like pound. Do it good. Right now, look it good, my neck, my back, and you got concussions. And he sat there and still impregnated you. That's your fault. So why are you taking your detriments and putting it on us? And then you're talking about ethnic cleansing. Y'all created all this. Y'all created all this stuff. But y'all don't get mad at the Jews. Y'all mad at black people, but the Jews made y'all look even stupid. They use you for your violence, your muscle, and you're still at the bottom of the ocean. You're a bottom feeder. You're a mud fish. But you won't go and get mad at them. But you'll get mad at us. Yeah, you need to play that. Yay. You don't know me. You want them G's. When it gets nice, you want to get on your knees. It's so meaty and so clean. There you go. You have yourself a good day. Y'all need to find y'all some business and leave us the F alone. Bye-bye.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
American Family Insurance is a proud sponsor of The Truth. For almost 100 years, they've been committed to helping families protect what matters most, your home, your vehicle, and the dreams you're building every single day. That's why having the right protection in place matters. American Family helps you stay ready for whatever life brings so you can focus on moving forward. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. Get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com. American Family Insurance Company, SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin. And are you looking for a school where scholars thrive, teachers believe, and excellence is the expectation? Milwaukee College Prep is still enrolling scholars grades K3 through 8 for the upcoming school year with 4 high-performing campuses and award-winning educators and also a proven track record of academic success. MCP is helping more than 2,000 Milwaukee scholars build brighter futures every day. Apply today at MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com. That is MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com or call 414-264-6000, 414-264-6000. All right, guys. If banks say, yeah, we're only going to lend a maximum of $3,000, and the Trump administration says, yeah, we're going to create a new rule, a new, I don't know, law through the Federal Trade Commission where banks can't lend more than $3,000. I'm using that figure arbitrarily. It could be $5,000, it could be $10,000. But imagine the federal government limiting how much money you can borrow. Let's say the federal government said you can't borrow more than $40,000 for a house. And here's the logic that they're using. I just want folks to understand this because there is something coming our way that I want us to be prepared for, but also for those who are concerned, if you want to formulate a community level, like, political platform that candidates will respond to instead of us responding to them. And here's another thing that I don't like about our politics. Instead of listening to the actual individual wants and wishes of voters, what candidates are doing is they're just looking at the overall misery that's happening. And they're saying, hey, if you don't like misery, vote for me because I don't like the misery either. They're not saying, okay, where do you want to focus? Like, do you want more resources for public education? Do you want to maintain educational options in Milwaukee? Do you want more money allocated to job training and placement? Do you want more reentry programs? Do you want more youth programs? They're not doing that. They're saying, hey, the world sucks. Vote for me because I think the world sucks too, and we're just going to figure it out together. That's not a solution. But imagine the federal government saying, okay, we're going to limit and we're going to make this enforceable. You can only borrow $50,000 for a house by law, and you can only borrow $10,000 if you need to get a vehicle. Now, vehicle prices are likely, they are what they are. Housing prices are what they are. But could you imagine the federal government saying, we're going to limit how much money you can borrow? Because then it's going to force the homes to be cheaper. You know how stupid that logic is? It's like saying, I'm only going to pay you $7.25 an hour. And because I'm only paying you $7.25 an hour, groceries have to get cheaper because I'm only paying you $7.25. That is not how the economy works. What the Trump administration is doing, and it's going into effect on July 1st, is limiting how much money you can borrow for college. There are some programs that cost $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 a year, especially for graduate school, and this impacts graduate school. I'm not sure if it impacts undergrad. I need you to think about that for a second because they're saying, well, college is too expensive, and so here's what we're going to do as a Trump administration. And they think that people are actually falling for this. They're going to limit how much money a graduate student can borrow to get their master's degree. You guys understand that if we don't have master's degreed educators, you're not going to have college professors anymore. Also, we need some of our teachers in our elementary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools to be subject matter experts on education if we think that our kids have a chance of learning anything in those classrooms. I like when a teacher has a master's degree. I like when a teacher has a doctorate or a PhD because that means that they are a subject matter expert to the highest levels of academia. And, you need smart people around. But think about this for a second. If somebody wants to go to medical school because they're going to be the next doctor that cures the cancers, okay, and they can only borrow $20,000 for medical school, guess what? They're not going to go to medical school. Now, do I think that the price of education has gotten ridiculous? It has. because just after World War II, the United States of America put a lot of effort and emphasis into public education because we figured something out then. The more educated the American population was, the more competitive we would be against the countries that we knew were going to come back stronger than ever. Europe was bombed out. After World War II, Japan was glowing in the dark because we didn't drop not one, but two nukes on them. And we had a tremendous investment in public education because we knew that these countries would come back. We knew that Europe would come back. They'd rebuild all the stuff that got broken because we broke a bunch of stuff in Europe. We just bombed it a lot. We stormed the beaches of Normandy and Omaha Beach, and a bunch of people got shot in the face. A lot of Germans got shot in the face. The Nazis, Germans are okay. Nazis, not okay. Ooh, bad. Ooh, don't like Nazis. And we shot a bunch of them, and we bombed Germany real nice, bombed it real good, bombed it back into the Stone Ages. But we knew one day that Germany was going to come back and be very angry. And you don't want an angry German. You guys want to hear a Nazi knock-knock joke? I wonder if that's politically incorrect. Knock, knock. Who's there? We will ask the questions. That's terrible. It's just a joke. Relax, everybody. So we invested a lot in public education because we wanted Americans to be competitive against the communists in Russia, and we wanted Americans to have the best education possible because that is how America was going to maintain its superpower superiority. But then something happened. It's called the Civil Rights Movement. And now black people could also participate in this investment in education. And then Ronald Reagan was like, wait a minute. The Civil Rights Movement is making it so that black people can now attend colleges, and now we can't segregate the schools anymore. Well, then let's stop paying and subsidizing public education. If you want to send your child to a public school, any public school, you don't pay tuition. If you want to send your child to the Rufus King High School or the Riverside High School or Madison or Custer, you don't pay tuition because the state subsidizes, meaning taxpayers. We fund the education for public schools. We used to do that for universities because we saw the benefit of it. State taxpayers were like, no, we will totally contribute money so that people can go to college for $300 a year because the education that they would receive would be of a net benefit to all of us taxpayers. And it's a proven formula and it works, okay? Ronald Reagan was like, nope, we're going to make college more expensive because now if we can't deny black people and the higher levels of education that someone has, the more likely they are to be a Democrat, you can't ban college and universities, but you can make it uncomfortably expensive. And to continue on that trajectory that Ronald Reagan started when he was governor of California in the 1960s, then dude went and got elected president for 2 terms and really reinforced it. It's called the Bennett hypothesis. The Bennett hypothesis is if we limit how much money somebody can borrow, then colleges are going to have to charge less money. Stupid. If you limit how much someone can borrow to buy a house, do you think that houses are going to get cheaper? If you're selling your house and you're selling your house for $200,000 and it might be worth $220,000, but you were pricing your house for a quick sale, also being sensitive that interest rates for a 30-year fixed are relatively high. And let's say that the Trump administration, using this same line of thinking that dates back to Ronald Reagan, this Bennett hypothesis, if the federal government said you can only borrow $50,000 to buy a house, and here's the logic. They're going to say, well, we don't want you to be in house debt forever. So we're going to limit how much money you can borrow to buy a house. And we're going to make the banks follow this new federal rule. Now, the Trump administration has not done this, but I'm just giving you an example of how insane it is and the fact that it's going to really harm people when you set those arbitrary rules in motion. And they're going to say, well, we don't want somebody to be drowning in house debt forever, so we're going to limit how much money you can borrow to buy a house, because then somebody who's selling their house for $200,000 is now going to be forced to sell that house for $50,000. For those of you that have a house on the market or you've had houses on the market before, did the sale price of your house depend on the amount of that buyer's pre-approval? Maybe, but you found someone who's pre-approval that exceeded what you were selling your house for. Does that make sense to you? Just because if somebody comes to me and says, hey, Sherwin, I have $19,522. I want to buy your house. I would very conveniently but politely turn around, undo my belt buckle, unbutton and unzip my pants, and moon them. $19,000 this! But Sherwin, the government has limited how much money I can borrow, and I really want a house, and I've got $19,000, and I want to buy your house. That's not going to impact my price for my house. My house is for sale for $7.58 million. Let me be honest with you, since I'm on air and a bunch of people are listening. If anybody wants to give me just under $8 million for my house, I won't even go back to it. You can have everything in it. Well, hold on now. Let me get what I need out. Let me get some photographs. You can have everything. If there's a person in my house right now, you can have them too. But because someone is only able to borrow a limited amount of money does not mean that I'm going to now be forced to sell my house for what the government has limited borrowing to. Let me reiterate that again. If somebody wants to give me, let's make it even $10 million. If you want to give me $10 million for my house, I'll throw in a Tesla and one night with me. Hold on, not to be freaky. We'll have dinner. If you want to give me $10 million for my house. Now, better yet, I'll give you 2 nights with Xavier.
What kind of stuff is that?
Yeah, what do you mean? Hold on, man, relax. I'm selling my house for $10 million. If they want 2 nights with you, I would suggest you comply because this is my money we talking about. I'll break you off.
Yeah, a couple million.
I'll get your hair done. I'll get your nails. I have you looking good for daddy. Yeah.
My haircut only costs $40.
Okay, guess what? Daddy give you $45.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
You saying daddy?
Huh?
You saying daddy?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, geez.
I meant father.
Pause, man.
If somebody wants to buy my house for $10 million, Xavier, the least you could do is entertain them for a couple of days.
What do they look like?
I don't care. They're giving me $10 million. To me, they look like money. And if they want you to dance a little, I'm going to break you off, though. I'm not going to leave you out there like that. If they buy my house for $10 million, I got you.
I got you.
We'll talk about that after you take care of the person that bought my house for the $10 million. Because I need them to be satisfied now. Because if they say, well, Xavier didn't perform as expected, and if I don't get the $10 million, well, then I can't break you off nothing.
Sounds like a terrible deal to me.
Sounds like you need to start breaking them off so we can get paid. And I'm going to take a break, come back, explain to you how the Trump administration is trying to make it impossible for us to have doctors and lawyers and highly educated professionals going into the future, because this rule goes into effect July 1st of you can borrow no more than $20,000 for graduate school. You can't become a doctor. You can't become a teacher. You can't become all sorts of different high-level professionals unless you're able to go to graduate school. And $20,000 is not going to cut it. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental.
And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At UW Milwaukee, students don't have to wait until college to start building their future. Roar Ready lets students in K through 12th grade join in on hands-on programs across campus, from science and tech to arts, sports, and even more. Students try new things, meet new people, and build skills that matter. Get started today at uwm/edu. Roar Ready. uwm.edu/roar-ready. Make sure you join us tonight on the Hughes Views 414 podcast, exclusively on YouTube. Probably do a continuation of this conversation we're having right now because there's a lot of information I had to get out today, and I think we got most of it out. From NPR.org, for the past 2 decades, graduate students have been able to take out an unlimited amount of federal student loans to cover the full cost of their education. If they needed $60,000 a year, they could borrow $60,000 a year every year after that. The Trump administration has a plan to change that by capping graduate school loans for many students at $20,500 a year and $100,000 overall, effective July 1st. Even though a federal court temporarily blocked a small piece of that plan, the U.S. Education Department confirmed to NPR that loan limits will indeed begin by July 1st. So if you need to borrow money to start your graduate program because you want to be, I don't know, a lawyer, you're not going to be able to pay for law school. You want to start your master's coursework, you're not going to be able to afford it. You got accepted to Harvard's graduate program, you cannot afford it because here's what the Trump administration is doing. Well, if we limit how much money you can borrow, then Harvard is going to have to make their tuition cheaper. Are you insane? If a bank limits how much money you can borrow for a mortgage, do you think that houses are going to get cheaper? If the Federal Trade Commission says, oh, if you want to get a car loan, we're going to limit how much money you can borrow. So, I don't know, $10,000, because then Toyota's going to have to make a cheaper Highlander. The anti-intellectual streak that is pervasive in not just the Trump administration, but it goes back to Ronald Reagan, is now impacting people's higher education aspirations. And I don't know about y'all, but if I'm sick and I go to the doctor, I don't want my doctor to have an associate's degree. I want you to be an actual doctor. A real doctor, not like Dr. Dre, even though he is surgical with his beats. In a year packed with changes to higher education policy, this new loan limit is one of the biggest and one of the most controversial. U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon says the end game is to force colleges to slash their tuition prices. Quote, college costs are just exorbitant, which I agree. She goes on to say students are burdened with debt. McMahon told the House Education Committee last month, we really have to do something to bring down the cost of college. With that goal in mind, Republicans used last year's One Big Beautiful Bill Act to scuttle the program known as Grad Plus and limit graduate school loans. The thinking goes, borrowers will choose cheaper programs and expensive schools will have to cut their prices to compete. That's not going to happen. If a Bentley costs $300,000 because it's a handmade quality automobile, and using this same logic, if banks are only lending $10,000 to buy a car, do you think that Bentley is going to make a $9,000 car? No, you're just never going to be able to afford a Bentley. And forcing students to choose a cheaper option does not bode well for the future of this country, because some schools, I know some of y'all may not believe this, are worth the cost. The education is just better. I would argue that someone that sent their children to the university school might have a better educated child than someone that sent their kids to North Division. I could be wrong, but I'm not. Some places offer a higher level of quality that is worth the cost because the benefits that that student will receive will sometimes outpace what they paid. Now, I agree, college is way too expensive. But starting July 1st, like a semester of school is going to start in 2 months. And if you need to borrow $30,000 for your semester or for your year of graduate school, and you have just been capped at $20,500, where are you going to come up with $10,000 between now and the start of the fall semester after Labor Day? You're probably not. So guess what? You're either not going to enroll or you're going to have to try and scramble and find a cheaper school. But I don't know how you're going to do that because the enrollment period has already closed. They are screwing students over. And this goes all the way back to a man that y'all affectionately called the Gipper. I probably should go into more detail. Maybe I'll go into more detail tonight on Hughes Views 414. If not, I'll probably talk about it tomorrow. Ronald Reagan is governor of California from 1967 to 1975. Perhaps Reagan's most lasting educational impact occurred before he became president. He challenged California's tradition of nearly tuition-free public universities. When Reagan took office in 1967, the University of California operated under the 1960 California Master Plan, which envisioned higher education as a public investment with minimal or no cost to students. Reagan argued taxpayers should no longer bear the nearly entire cost of educating college students. Why was that? Because of affirmative action. Now black people could go to college. Reagan said, okay, well, I can't shut the colleges down and I can't make sure that black students don't go, but I'm going to make you go broke. And we started to end the subsidies for public education because they didn't want these colleges to be diverse, because if black people got an education, we would be competitive. And that is what started the ball rolling. And now you have the Trump administration limiting how much money a potential doctor can borrow to go to med school. All that's going to do is ensure that we have less doctors, less educated people, and more conservatives and Republicans that they can dupe. Thank you for listening. Lunch break is up next.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkuprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.